Hello and welcome to ArtShow. I'm Craig Stover, and today I have with me Maria Driscoll McMahon. Hey, Maria, how are you?
Hi, Greg. I'm
Huh?
doing great.
Great to see you. So I had a blast going through your web and other places to find images of your work, and so I had a tough time making decisions. But in particular, I wanted to start with this drawing. So there is a lot going on in this drawing, and I've got a bunch of questions. Um, can you just briefly first start off people who don't know your work? What is this drawing about?
What is it? Did you ask what it's about?
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I did this. I think this is called All at Once. I've had various titles for it, but it's part of a larger body of work called By the Time You Cut Teeth, You Are Already Ancient.
Okay.
And it comes after taking a trip to Ireland. Which, when I went there, even though I do have Irish ancestry, turns out only 20%. I used to think it was much more than that. But anyway, when I went to Ireland, I never was into the ancestry so much, never took any pride, in my heritage, nothing like that. I just wanted to take a scenic trip with my family. It seemed like a good place. But in spite of myself, while I was there, I mean, I had heard through my aunt that there was the ancestral castle. So, of course, I wanted to see that. When I got there, it was closed, but there was in this little tiny rural village in Ireland called Baltimore. There was a little tiny store, very nondescript. I went in, and lo and behold, there was a book about this thick on the history of the Baltimore Castle.
Mhm.
Anyway, it took my head on a journey. So, in addition to seeing all the wonderful sights, I was also learning about the history, which involved people named Driscoll. So I mean, it was like my ancestors. So anyway, I used my dad. My dad is all of these people,
Okay.
he is the priest. He is the guy sitting there, with his tongue lolling out with the um cup of mead, I guess that's what it was, in front of him. So I did a lot of research of different periods.
Mhm.
So it's time travel.
Okay.
So
So
going back, oh, I'm
are,
sorry.
are all of these done from photo source materials?
Um, y yeah.
Okay.
Well, yes, mostly.
Okay.
Right. And most of yeah, so old pictures of my dad, but then I would did research and what did they wear in the Middle Ages? Because in the Middle Ages, there was like I had an ancestor who was a priest. So what would that have looked like?
hmm
And also pirates.
hmm
My ancestors, a lot of them were pirates. So their castles, their territory, their wealth wasn't always accumulated via, legitimate means. So anyway, and what I learned, by the way, when I learned they were pirates, it was kind of very disappointing to learn that. But
So,
I have,
when you're making something like this, uh,
yes.
do you have the image in your head as to what you want to do, or are you working with sketches that you're moving around and sort of collage? How does your process work for that?
Not at all.
Okay.
And this is huge, by the way. This is
Yeah.
it's like 7 feet by 5 feet or 4 feet, something like that. So I just start drawing.
hmm
I do. I don't know what I'm going to put in there next. It
Okay.
it evolves as I go along. I know it looks like it might be, more planned and that, but it really is not.
Does that mean that there's also areas where you change your mind? Did you ever scrub out areas,
Oh yeah.
rework them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. but it no, it kind of evolves as I go along. And I think from working for, as I say, 50 some years, that I don't I don't worry about or think about. Maybe it's become kind of intuitive, like
Okay.
composition, all the principles and elements of design just kind of come organically,
Okay.
you
So
know.
when you say that you don't, necessarily plan everything out to the nth degree, are you also, as you're making work, conscious about your audience's understanding of your work? Do they come into play when you're crafting?
Not really.
Okay. So the
No.
works are more for you and working out your own ideas.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So so then when you have something like this piece,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm just again kind of curious how much of this is experimentation uh, versus play.
Hmm. Well, I think that my technique
Hmm.
is not that experimental. I mean, I'm scumbling, but I'm not really like trying new techniques so much.
Hmm.
But the ideas, I think on an abstract level, a conceptual level, it's very experimental. And
Hmm.
so, and this, by the way, this is also, I mean, I do like storytelling. I mean, there
Hmm.
is a narrative aspect to everything. I also love to work abstractly,
Hmm.
but, and I guess maybe maybe I have to modify a bit what I said about I don't always think of the audience. I mean, I am working out my own issues or indulging my preferences,
Hmm.
but um, but I think on an abstract level, I feel like something more narrative is going to communicate something perhaps maybe more clearly.
Hmm. Well, when you speak about the narrative, that's why I asked you about the source materials for your father. So
Right.
it makes me think when I'm looking at this drawing, are you also using source materials for a drawing like this, even though a lot of it is abstract? Or is this
Uh,
are you inventing?
So this came from kind of a different place from the previous one, like the pitcher plants, those plants there. I went on a hike with a
Hmm.
friend.
Hmm.
She showed me these pitcher plants. I became like obsessed with pitcher plants, all things pitcher plants.
Hmm.
And do you know what they are?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the carnivorous plants, and I don't know, there's a poem which one of the lines that always stayed with me is how many plants are really very silent animals. So the pitcher plants, even the colors with the red veins, they just seem more animal than plant.
Hmm.
And so so that I took pictures, I took photos on that hike, and definitely, yes, used those as reference materials, but I gave them roots.
Hmm. Hmm.
And pitcher plants have rhizomes, right? So I played around with it. I'm not
Hmm.
a natural science illustrator, although I love learning about the flora and fauna and things like that. So science does kind of come into play,
Hmm.
but emphasis on the word play. And I'm glad you use that because it definitely is playful.
So I saw the drawings first on your website, and then the deeper I dug, the more interesting in terms of varied terms of materials that you're working with. It started to come forward, and I came across this. So there's many of these figures on this parcel of land, and they relate to the it's a schoolhouse building behind them.
Oh yeah.
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 So
So the
how did something like this come about? Because this seems like a left turn from the drawings.
Well, this I actually got a grant for it, and when you apply for a grant, a state NISCA
Hmm.
grant, they want the community aspect to it,
Hmm.
right? So, which I happily, I'm happy to do that. And in fact, the little schoolhouse happened to be the school that my mom went to.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Okay.
she's actually in this. One of those
That's
figures
fantastic.
is her.
Uh-huh.
And then my uncles, two of my uncles are in there as well.
Okay.
But it became about, it's not necessarily biographical or autobiographical. It's about memory,
Yeah.
it's about how we remember. And if that photograph, if I didn't have that, my mom had it and I saw it. Without that photograph, I, we would experience the school building, everything in a completely different way.
Hmm. Hmm. So
Because
I got to ask this question. Are these are these permanent or have they been since removed?
they have to go in because they would not withstand weather.
Okay.
So I do have some of them. The person who actually owns the schoolhouse
Okay.
kept some of them so that they're,
Well, it's
protected.
fascinating that you said it started with a photograph and then you made these, and now it seems like it's ended up as a photograph again.
That's true.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating. So I saw this, and then I saw this, and
All
I
right.
had to bring this forward. So tell us a little bit about this.
Okay, so this is this mat attachment, the Burdocks project.
Mm-hmm.
And this has gotten me more traction than any other thing I've done. And it got me shortlisted for an Algira Emerge Award, which I was on the panel, the whatever you call it, with people who had stuff in the Whitney. I mean, I wanted that so bad. Alas, I think that okay, so anyway, this started as it was a meditation on the rural condition,
Mm-hmm.
rural versus urban tensions
Mm-hmm.
that I perceived as a rural person.
Mm-hmm.
I've always sensed this kind of unfortunate divide,
Mm-hmm.
which when I first conceived of this, way back, 2009 or 2010, it was long before, the
Mm-hmm.
current. Now everything is like so, I
Right.
mean, nobody questions now. It's in our faces, the rural and urban tensions. But back then, people didn't think about it so
Mm-hmm.
much.
And you
And so
you made a series of photographs using this suit.
yes. And
Yeah.
also, there were other people involved. Other people actually got into burdock suits
Mm-hmm.
and, were part of these filmed performance pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But burdocks, so I, the other thing was I was inspired by William Popel
Mm-hmm.
and Anna Mendieta. So Anna Mendieta, used nature as
Mm-hmm.
her, all her media came from nature, and she photographed herself, camouflaged in the trees, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera, or buried. And then William Pope L did that amazing performance piece on a skateboard as Superman, you
Mm-hmm.
know, making such a powerful and poignant statement about what it is to be a Black man in today's society. Anyway, I wanted to do performance. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to use nature. So I thought and thought and thought about what could I use that wouldn't be too labor intensive,
Mm-hmm.
and burdocks came to me like a eureka.
It was
Um,
so wonderful going through your work to see the variety. So I wanted to start out with the drawings, but I wanted to make sure to include this because as an artist, it really kind of rounds out the edges, showing the breadth of it. I've got one crazy question about this. Is this suit hanging up in your closet?
Um, well, the suit actually, along with, I also did a bunch of still sculptures with it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I had no room when I moved, so I left them to the elements, including
Oh,
the
okay.
suit. Left them
That's
to the
fantastic.
elements. Yes.
That's really great. And lastly, you have a number of sculptures, these kind of sculptural items on your site. But I love the combination of these two. Where did the idea to do these come from? Is it an offshoot from the schoolhouse works?
Well, n no, the Schoolhouse Works came after this.
Okay.
These were, I did a residency of sculpture space in Utica. And so I started sculpting with plaster and doing these figurative pieces. And this is actually a commentary again on rural,
Mm-hmm.
the rural experience, the heifer
Mm-hmm.
and the little girl, as you can see, she has a rock in her hand. And these are child size, these are
Mm-hmm.
life size. Um, and I always intended to do much more of this, working
Mm-hmm.
with this plaster and sculpture. I don't
When
have
I saw these,
room.
a question that popped into my head, and I don't know if you can answer this. Do you consider your work to be either proactive or reactive to what's going on?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think it's both, right?
Okay.
Because like this Mad Attachment, the Burdocks Project, definitely was reacting to some experiences I had as a child, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it also was like nobody is ever talking about this. And it's like I could kind of, my little antennae there, they were picking up trouble
Mm-hmm.
for trouble down the road. So it was kind of like, oh, somebody has to start a conversation about this. I want that would have been my dream,
Mm-hmm.
that people would, so that we could avoid these tensions coming to a head, right?
So when
So,
you mentioned, your childhood, and I'm kind of curious at what point growing up did you decide to become an artist? How did that happen? Did you
well,
always know?
No, I know I really didn't. I mean,
Okay.
like all children, I loved drawing and coloring and all that stuff. And then I started writing. I liked poetry,
Okay.
wasn't really poetry, but I loved writing. So I did both obsessively. I mean, every day I was doing this stuff. And I initially saw them as being two different things. And so when I went to college, it was like, okay, what do I do? Am I an English major or an art major? And I kept going back and forth. And then I found out, oh my God, I saw Frida Kahlo and, a lot of the surrealists. Of course, I did know about the surrealists, but it's like, wow, your artwork it can be one and the same.
Mm.
It comes from the same place. So a drawing can be poetic. A poem can be have a lot of visual imagery. So it's really one and the same. So I guess when I was a young, like an adolescent,
Mm-hmm.
is when I just started doing it. I don't know if I thought at the time that I would be able to actually make a living at it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's still
That's still debatable.
yeah.
So you've been making work for years, and I'm kind of curious to know if you know how has your creative process changed over the years?
Well, I mean, it is very eclectic,
Mhm.
obviously. I mean, so, but
Has it
there are
changed?
some,
Has it changed like radically, or does it just slowly evolve?
there are themes that persist
Mm-hmm.
from, from adolescence. I mean, some of the stuff some of those themes are still present, as
Mm-hmm.
well as, the other constant, I think, is a sense of wonder, curiosity about everything. So that still is true. The process itself, I've learned how to do different things like the sculpture and the performance work and um, you know, the drawing, as I say, I think for drawing, it's been more about perfecting, maybe. And then it's like not even, I mean, I'm not even striving to like be like photorealistic or whatever. I mean, I hate technique just for technique's sake.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
but I have tried to hone my craft, through the years.
Hmm.
But from a drawing standpoint, I'm really doing it the same way. I have experimented with painting. I've done work that's more subtractive, like you put the paint on and then wipe it
Hmm.
off. And I love that. I've tried the impasto and
So
different
you've
things.
you've had you've put your artistic fingerprints on several different disciplines, but would I be correct in assuming that drawing has been a consistent friend of yours ever since?
Yeah, I think that the drawing, the scumbling, I'm a scumbler,
Uh-huh.
the doing the little tiny
Oh yeah.
circles.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I don't have a lot of patience for a lot of things, like standing in line at the check. I'm
Uh-huh.
not really a patient person. There's something about that that's very soothing to me. It's
How
very,
about the papers that you work with? Are you particular with the papers, or do you draw on
ooh,
anything?
I've become particular. I love
Okay.
arches. I love arches, and I like the side that's a little toothier.
Uh-huh.
And
Like a
again, it's
cold press.
yes,
Uh-huh.
yes. I love the texture. As I say, it's like, I don't know, it's very meditative. It's just soothing.
Mm-hmm.
And
I get you. I'm there.
and you know
So,
what? Oh no, go ahead.
so when I first came across your work, one of the immediate questions I had was that I felt a lot of your work had like a dreamlike quality to it. So one thing sort of blending it, but not not the surrealism, but just the way that you have these ideas and that you've sewed them together. Do dreams ever come into your work, or is it just your subconscious that you're just sort of letting it loose on the paper?
I think that and I love that you see that. Um the dreams, I don't think that I like have a dream and then get up and say, "Oh, I want to paint
Right.
that or draw." But I do think that whatever part of the brain activates the dream, I mean, you can kind of access that even
Mm-hmm.
in the day, even when
Mm-hmm.
you're awake.
Oh yeah.
It's like a state of mind. I mean, as an artist, I'm sure you have
Mm-hmm.
experienced that. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's not the normal. It's
Do you
not
have
the
to
normal.
do you have to do anything specific to get into the creative state? Are there
Well,
go-tos?
there are certain things that can trigger it.
Okay.
Um, and
Like,
yeah, sometimes I can. Well, I tell you what, learning new things,
mm,
learning new things can,
okay.
music, lots of time. I don't know, there's something about certain musicians. I watch them and like, it's like I want to paint or draw
Mm-hmm.
like they make music.
Do you have music on in your studio?
Often,
Okay.
often.
Yeah.
Yes,
Something
right.
going on.
The
Um,
writing stuff, no, but
yeah. Are you where is your studio? Is it in your house or is it separate?
this is it. And
Okay.
actually I'm living in it now.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah.
So how often, well, I know you're living in it, but how often do you find yourself working in the studio? Are you an everyday artist or you take
Um,
breaks?
most
Okay.
days. And the thing is, it's that thing about visual art and writing being one and the same for me.
Hmm.
So,
Okay. So,
mhm.
time for just two more questions, and the one relates to writing and working every day. Do you keep a sketchbook? Are you a sketcher?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
Do
if I
they
could get
do those sketchbook makes do they make sense to anybody else but you?
Some do. I mean, I have different sketchbooks for different purposes.
Okay.
So one is more kind of like, my little Beatrix Potter,
Hmm.
I'm drawing like things in nature. And then some others are just it's just a place where you can be totally uncensored
Hmm.
and do things that you wouldn't necessarily want other people to see, kind of thing.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Totally with you. All right, time
Right.
for a final question. Question I ask all artists: what does making art do for you?
Well, there's this word, the sublime. So it doesn't mean, you know, something really great. I'm not seeking something really great. What I'm seeking, the sublime is to sublimate pain. So it's that. It's like a sublimation of a challenging childhood, right? Sublimation of pain. So in a sense, I know we're not, as artists, we're not supposed to say it's therapy. But I mean, you can use other words, so that's what most artists will do. They'll dance around the word therapy, but in the end, that's what it is, right?
That's
Um,
fantastic.
yeah.
I like
Uh,
that.
but also, what I said about learning new things. So it excites me. So it's also a way to indulge my wonder and
Hmm.
to more thoroughly investigate a thing. Drawing, everything slows down. So
Hmm.
you study something,
Yeah, yeah.
you see it in greater depth. And it's the same thing with an idea. You think of it's a way to work out questions I have about everything, you know?
I'm with you. It makes perfect sense to me. So,
Yeah.
well, Maria, I can't thank you enough for coming by and talking with me today. I really appreciate it. Love learning more about your work. And I also want to thank everybody who tuned in to watch Art Show today. We love your support. And especially if you could like and subscribe, that will help show Art Show to more people. So thanks for watching. And again, Maria, thank you very much for spending some time with me today.
Oh, thank you so much, Craig.
It was great. Take care, everyone.